Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Metro Last Light? It's a sequel to Metro 2033, a first-person shooter by a company called 4A. This one's published by Koch Media and Deep Silver. This is a little bit of a difference because the original game was published by THQ, however, Deep Silver and the Koch Media Group actually did acquire this, and as a direct result, they now have the license. They also took on the studio, and Metro Last Light, as a result, it's now a thing. I mean, it was pretty close to being a thing when THQ went bust, so it didn't really take that much to finish it out, I guess, but hey. So, Metro 2033 was received reasonably well when it came out, and it was very much a linear first-person shooter. A lot of people compare it to Stalker. Those people are wrong. The reason they're wrong is that I mean, there are some similarities, but they're fairly limited. The actual style of game is completely different. Stalker's very much an open-world FPS. You know, it's quite similar to Far Cry, only horrific and depressing in every way. And it's got some RPG aspects to it. It's got a more developed economy and so on and so forth. And it also involves a lot of side missions, a lot of exploration, huge amounts of exploration. Now, Metro doesn't do that at all. Like, as a linear FPS, it's definitely more limited than something like, say, even BioShock Infinite, which was more linear than the original BioShock games. It doesn't really have these large open areas to explore, although it does have nooks and crannies around the place every now and again. Alright, so we're going to be doing the usual thing that we do, especially on AAA releases, and that's we'll talk about the options menu. That's going to be a thing, and if you don't want to watch that, that's fine. There is a button you can click on the screen, but if you don't want to watch it, then you're silly. It's a useful piece of information, I think, that you should be getting, especially when you're dealing with this, because Metro 2033 was known as a system destroyer. That game was one of the first games... Go away, good lord. I hate it when they do that. This is not an arcade game. Don't do that. Just because I'm sitting here on the menu doesn't mean I want to watch the bloody intro again. Jeez, what is this, 1991? Come on. Anyway. It was known as a system destroyer. It was one of the first games to really use DirectX 11, and it didn't really use it all that well. It looked good, but my god would it wreck your machine. Now, this game, for optimal spec, recommends a 690, NVIDIA 690, or a Titan, yeah? Or the equivalent AMD devices. This is one of those way it's meant to be played games, so I assume that NVIDIA managed to get their hands on it prior to it and have probably done some optimization, although I can tell you at the time of recording that there has been no specific driver released for it, so it may very well be the performance will go up. So we're going to look at the options menu. We're also going to look at what's conspicuous by its absence in the options menu. Now, for a high-spec game, it's actually kind of surprising that this is sort of as weak source as it is, really. You have the ability to select a quality preset. As you can see, there's 4 of them. SSAA. If I recall correctly, and there are many types of AA, I think this is screen space AA, if I recall correctly. I might be wrong there. Now, to my knowledge, SSAA is one of the most GPU-intensive AAs that exist, and it showed. With my SLI Titans, this game would tank at times below 50, which to a lot of people is very acceptable, but as soon as I turned this off, it more than doubled the frame rate. So either SSAA is ridiculously intensive, or they just haven't optimized it properly. So with SSAA off, which I don't even really notice anything jaggy in this game, so it really doesn't make a lot of a difference to me. I guess you could probably force an AA in your NVIDIA or Catalyst control panels as well. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. So I turned this off and I got a massive performance gain. Motion blur, of course, I turned to low. You can't turn it completely off, but you can turn it to so low a setting that you don't really notice it. Tessellation, this is a very much a DirectX 11 thing, and this will really help textures and models in general just look more detailed. I have this on very high, and I also have my is it anisotropic? Yes. Anisotropic filtering up to 16 times. So that's going to mean that stuff in the distance is going to look way, way better and so on and so forth. Cranking this up really didn't affect my frame rate all that much. However, VSync, for some reason, was locking me to 60, not 120 Hz, which was really, really weird, so that was obviously not ideal, so I definitely turned that off. And there's a lot of other stuff kind of missing from this. I feel that you could customize this a lot more. There are some options in the config files that you could tweak around, but in my opinion, I feel that this options menu is fairly limited. There's a lot of stuff here that you would expect to be available to turn off. Like, does this game use screen space ambient occlusion, for instance? What about depth of field? Does it use some advanced lighting effects, diffusion? This is the kind of thing that you can tweak to make your experience better, and since there are hundreds of thousands of available configurations of PCs, you have to give those options. So I'm a little disappointed with this, and I think that it may potentially hurt people with lower spec machines because they can't tweak it as much as they want to get the best possible performance out. For me, on a high spec machine, this game actually runs really well as long as SSAA is turned off, so it seems to be a very well optimized version, and it's also goddamn gorgeous. It's one of the best looking PC games I've ever seen, so that's something to consider there. Let's not have that on, thank you very much. Now, things that are missing. Yeah, you knew it was coming. No FOV slider. This is a problem that the first game had as well, and the first game's FOV was actually very narrow. It used vertical FOV, not horizontal, so a lot of people got the wrong idea, but it had about 45 vertical FOV, which was more like about 65-ish horizontal FOV, depending on your kind of monitor that you've got. Because obviously if you have a 16:9 or 16:10, all that value kind of changes around. Now, you weren't able to change this in the game, but you were able to edit the config files to change it, and that actually made the experience very playable as a result. A lot of people were complaining about the usual issues with low FOV, the headaches, the eye strain, and the potential motion sickness as well. Unfortunately, the methods that were used to change the FOV in 2033 do not appear to work in Last Light. I made an effort to contact the developers and the publishers via their PR agency about 5 days ago, asking whether or not there was a way around this or even to comment on the issue. They didn't. This is very unfortunate, of course, because now I'm having to go ahead and say, if you have severe problems with field of view and low field of view, you will probably need to avoid this game, because this game has a fairly narrow FOV to the point where I'm playing it about half-an-hour sessions and I'm able to deal with it, but it's definitely not making me feel comfortable. I have a feeling they may have made the FOV slightly wider than the first game, but it's still not as wide as I would like. I guess it also is a case of the claustrophobic nature of this game, a lot of tunnel play, really accentuating that FOV problem. So that's missing, that's kind of annoying. You can turn crosshair on or off. For some people, this actually helps with the whole simulation sickness, because it gives you a fixed reference point on the screen. The right way to really play this game is with crosshair off. It was designed to be played with crosshair off. Now, language-wise, voice language, you can go for Russian. I played this through on English to start with, the reason being that, one, I wanted to check the quality of the English voice acting, which is not that great, and secondly, because a lot of the incidental dialogue, according to the publisher when they sent me the documentation for this early pre-release copy, said that a lot of this incidental dialogue wouldn't actually be covered by the subtitles. So I kept it on English. I'm thinking if I play it again, or even if I play more of it, I probably play it with Russian on, because the English voice acting is not that great, and I feel it would be more atmospheric. It was designed to be Russian. Controls-wise, controls are fully rebindable, as you can very clearly see there. Separately, very, very nice. That's always good. Mouse control, some sensitivity. As far as I can tell, the game does not have mouse acceleration, although mouse acceleration can really change in terms of severity. There's some games where it's very obvious, some games where it's very subtle. It seems like they don't have it, though, so that's good. The shooting in general and the control with the mouse feels pretty good. So that's pretty much about it in terms of the options menu. As I said, that real problem with the FOV slider could be a killer for a lot of people, and I would like to see more customization here to support lower-end users. Alright, so before I go into the game, yes, there is more. Again, you can click the button if you don't want to hear it. This is all important stuff. I'd prefer to talk about the gameplay when I actually get into the game itself. That also will very much let me focus on everything, which will be a good thing indeed. There is an issue with the pre-orders. Now, they are allowing you, I say allowing you, that's an interesting way of putting it. They are offering the so-called Ranger difficulty mode as a pre-order bonus. It's also included in all first-run limited edition copies of the game. So anything that you buy on the shelf, probably within a few days of this game releasing, will most likely be the limited edition, which will come with that, and it won't charge you any extra. However, they will then be charging you, I believe, $5 for the privilege of playing on Ranger mode, which they market themselves as the true way to play the game. Now, Ranger mode is a lot harder. You die a lot faster. There's no HUD whatsoever. You have to very much rely on your compass, your lighter. You've got to be very, very careful with the ammunition, because apparently ammo is very, very scarce. It is the sort of the tenser, the truer hardcore experience. A lot of people said that the Ranger mode in 2033 was easily the best way to play the game. And the Ranger mode was actually added into that game as a result of fan feedback. Now, on Xbox, when Metro 2033's Ranger mode was released, it cost $5. Okay? On PC, it didn't. On PC, it actually was given as a free upgrade via Steam. Now, there are some statements on this matter, so I'm going to read something from the PC Gamer interview before we get into this and we really show you the gameplay. Again, these are important issues. If you don't want to hear about them, click the button on the annotation, just click it. Skip past, no problem at all. Done. Easy. Okay, so the quote from the publisher themselves was this. Game makers and publishers now live in a world where offering game content as a pre-order exclusive is a requirement by retail. And Ranger mode seemed like the best choice since it was a mode for hardcore fans who would most likely pre-order the game or purchase it at launch in any case. We rejected requests to make story content or additional missions exclusive. We also rejected requests to make this a timed exclusive. Now he also goes on in answering the allegation that they were marketing this as the true way to play, ergo they should not be locking it out of people's ability to actually use. He responded by saying that we do not recommend Ranger mode for a first playthrough, and this is made very clear both in-game at... Okay, that's the end of the sentence apparently, so that's a little bit of weird writing there. Anyway, we expect Metro fans will want to try Ranger mode for a subsequent playthrough, and we think that for the hardcore player, Ranger mode offers a richer experience, but only once you've clocked the game at least once. Now, he goes on to say that all copies of the initial manufacturing run will be the limited edition which has the Ranger mode in it. That means that you will be able to get a hold of Ranger mode without pre-ordering, but it seems like only if you buy a boxed copy. It does not mention anything on Steam past day one. Yeah, so this is all the manufacturing run. This is very, very strange indeed. Okay. How do I feel about this? Well, I think you know my opinion on pre-orders. I feel that people should stop pre-ordering video games. I feel that it encourages a very harmful culture. And while I sympathize with the developer and publisher, if they have their balls in a vice as a result of retailers, yeah, if they're being browbeaten by these guys saying, do this or we won't stock your game, then they're in a really tough spot. I get that. I understand. I really do. However, this still does not mean you should be... Go away. Still, it doesn't mean you should be pre-ordering video games, right? Because if you do, you are encouraging retailers to do just that. Yeah? If we turn around and all say, no, we will not do it, they will stop doing that. The problem is that it's going to be very difficult to really convince everybody of that. This is an interesting situation, I think, because of that whole limited edition thing, and also because the original Metro 2033's Ranger mode was a DLC. It was not actually part of the game. However, this is day one. Ranger mode for 2033 was not. There's the key difference. Past release for post-release developed content, you are not entitled to jack other than patches to fix an already broken product. That's the only thing you are entitled to past release. This, on the other hand, is day one. So that was developed prior to the release of the title. I am against day one DLC. I am against pre-order bonuses. And I do sympathize with them. I genuinely do. And I understand what a tough situation they're in. But unfortunately, I have to side with the consumer first and say that this is BS. Thankfully, of course, if you buy it on launch or around launch and you get the limited edition, you don't even have to make that tough choice, because you don't have to pre-order, you can still get the Ranger mode anyway. Thankfully, it's not an exclusive, you can still buy it later on for $5, but even then, it can be seen as gouging, and rightfully so, in my honest opinion. Rightfully so. So there you go. I think you need to make the decision yourselves, and it always comes down to that. Some of you are going to find it acceptable, some of you won't. Make the call, and do so by being informed. Read the article. I'm going to put the whole thing in the description below this video. You can read the whole thing. You can decide whether or not it's reasonable. Right, we're done. Without further ado, let's get into the game. Let's show you exactly what's going on with it. I've talked quite enough about this stuff. So, here we go. Let's get into it. Please bear in mind that this will have some spoilers. I will skip through as many as I possibly can, alright? So, I will deliberately try to avoid spoilers wherever possible, but such is the nature of games like this, you will end up with at least minor spoilers, okay? Again, I'll try to warn you as best I can. If there's anything major that pops up, then I will let you know, and I'll put a link on the screen that says, hey, you can go skip through. So, you want to get on the train? Yeah, you can if you like. I actually have a train here. Yes, don't ask me how I got that. Once again, that would very much be a spoiler. Now, this is an interesting little idea. This train can go backwards and forwards on this line, and you can get off it pretty much whenever you like. And as a direct result, you'll often run into things that will reward you with items. Yeah, ammo is a very important thing to find in this game, as are filters for your gas mask. Gas mask looks like that, by the way. It's like, oh, it looks exactly the same. It really doesn't. You can actually get blood on this, mud, rain, flies even will get on it. Yeah, it can get pretty dirty. It can also crack as well, to the point where you might have to replace it. Every time you go outside, you're going to need your gas mask on, otherwise you die. That means every time you are outside, you will end up in a situation where you are on a limited timer. You have to look around for filters. Now, finding filters earlier is always good, and I think I'm heading to an area where I will have to go outside eventually. Finding those filters is very important. They are pretty much your lifeline. Ooh, sweet, there's loot over there. Thankfully, this thing has powerful lights, so the spiders that are trying to kill me, they don't like the light, so they're going to be driven away. Speaking of light, by the way, you see how cool this is? You can actually charge your light up. This game has a lot of weird eccentricities where you manually do stuff that in other games will be done automatically for you. And I think that's actually part of the charm. I think it really offers immersion. Honestly, the game seems to have this idea that doing all of this stuff will provide you with a really immersive, intense experience, and for the most part, it's right. Like, the ability to just get my lighter out, for instance. Not only is that one of the best looking flame effects I've ever seen in a video game ever, but this is useful. It provides a little bit extra light, and it allows you to burn through spiders' webs. Very, very effective. You can even hold a gun that you wouldn't think you could in one hand and actually fire from the hip. Obviously, it affects your accuracy, but you can do it. Obviously, reloading, you'll have to put it away, but it's pretty cool. You can also go even more extreme than that and actually get out your map. That's got a compass, and that's got my objective, okay? So, yeah. There you go. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Not a lot of games really put that degree of detail in it, and stuff like the gas mask, the way that it works, and the stuff getting stuck on the gas mask, all of that stuff really adds to the immersion factor of the game. There's another thing that does as well. It's kind of difficult to show you here without firing off a few rounds, so I'm going to empty a clip for you. Magazine, damn it. Sorry, gun nuts, please don't murder me. I'm going to fire off everything I've got. Now watch the reload. There was actually ammunition in that magazine, and that magazine was empty. Every time you get a gun that shows you how much ammo is available, that ammo will realistically reflect the number of rounds in the chamber. This is a pretty decent example. This is my revolver. Now, here, as you can see, it's going to load up a bunch of new ones, but if I fire off 3 rounds, it actually just ejects all of them. Okay, never mind. So much for that. But I don't have the submachine gun with me, which is unfortunate, because that's actually got a side-loaded magazine that shows every single bullet. So as you fire a bullet, as it's expended, you can count your ammo there. Now, the HUD doesn't actually usually show you that until you switch over. So it's going to show me how much I've got here, but then that's going to eventually disappear. And firing here doesn't tell me how much ammo I've got. I don't know. Look at that. You see the 2 rounds there? Fire off another round, it's gone. This transparent magazine here. You see how cool that is? It's pretty damn cool, in my opinion. Really, really immersive. A lot of really cool stuff going on there. And as I say, the side-loaded guns are really good for that. The shotgun, you know, it's a double-barreled shotgun. It's obvious when I've fired off both rounds. You just count it, and then you reload it there. Alright, this might be worth going into, but that looks really radioactive. I wonder if that's even worth exploring here. We'll go and have a quick look. This is actually one of the fairly rare areas of the game where exploration does seem to be rewarded in a pretty big way. Now, I'm about 4 hours into this, and I've got to be totally honest with you. The linearity of the game in many areas has really put me off it. And the reason I say that is quite simply because there's a lot of hand-holding. Huge amounts of it. There is a long section of the game where you are with another character, and as a direct result, it ends up being it's just not all that fun, in my honest opinion. I think it could be a hell of a lot more enjoyable than it is, but it's not. because you're constantly stuck behind this guy and waiting for him to get along. Now, he's got some pretty cool dialogue, and I actually like him as a character, which is good. Like, if I hated him, that would have been an absolutely sucky situation. Thankfully, that wasn't the case. I thought he was a pretty cool character. But getting stuck with him and not really being able to explore the world, I think is a missed opportunity. And that's something that was kind of missed in 2033 as well. Very, very linear game. These sections are some of the best sections, because you get to explore all these old abandoned areas, and everything about this game is creepy in the sense that it's either underground or it's in the post-apocalyptic outside world, and there isn't really a single part of this game that I would consider... Well, so much for that. I thought maybe I could make my way through there, but I guess not. I think there's really a single part of this game that I'd ever consider happy. Even the populated areas, which you do get to visit from time to time, are pretty depressing in their own ways. Pretty depressing. Hello. You can go away now. He's scared away by light, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. He's going to go back into his hole. You have to keep an eye on them, though, because if you don't keep the light on these guys, they will come and try and murder you horribly, which is a little nasty, to say the least. Reload this gun. There we go. Alright. Let's hop back on. It doesn't look like there was anything really interesting there, aside from that gun, which I don't really want right now. Currently, I have 3 weapons, and as you can see, if I hit the... okay. There we go. Hold down tab. It'll show you what's going on there. You've got that wheel, which allows you to select from 4 different throwables. Claymore mines, incendiary grenades, regular dynamite, and throwing knives. Throwing knives are a good stealth weapon. Also tell you how much ammo you've got and how many military-grade bullets you've got. Now, bullets in this game, military-grade at any rate, not dirty bullets, the ones that I'm usually firing, they actually have value. They are currency within this game. You can actually load them, and you can fire them, and they'll actually give you a significant damage boost. Really good at taking down very heavily armored targets, but generally speaking, unless you're playing on the hardest difficulty, you probably won't need to do that, and you should save them. Those are the 3 weapons I've got. This, you might have noticed this is a bit weird, isn't it? Yeah, this is actually a revolver with a stock on it. And a lot of the guns in this game are very improvised. There's even like makeshift weapons which use ball bearings. And I usually like air guns or modified industrial tools. Because, of course, that's the world that you're in here. They use whatever they can get. Ammo is scarce, good ammo anyway. The homemade stuff's pretty unreliable, doesn't do a lot of damage, which explains why many times you'll end up against an armored opponent that you have to do a lot of damage to in order to bring down, because the armor outstrips the capability of the guns because the ammo sucks so badly. Yeah? You get the idea? Pretty cool idea. And also there's mutants, which obviously take a lot more. I don't feel the enemies are all that bullet spongy, which is pretty cool. The armored enemies can be taken down with some clever play, and you can also look for areas of the body which aren't armored. So you can avoid stuff like unused clips and just makeshift body armor and things like that, and helmets in order to do more damage. But generally speaking, you shoot a human in the head, even on this difficulty mode, it dies. It pretty much dies straight away. This is really bad news. This is terribly, terribly bad news. Oh god. Alright, you know, if I can keep the light on them long enough, he'll flip over and then I can gun him down. There we go. Couple of shotgun shots. Looks like there's some gas on here. I should probably put my... Oh, I've been wearing my gas mask this entire time. That was pretty dumb. I've actually been burning filters. Don't want that. Not at all. Now, another aspect of the immersion is in the watch. The watch on the wrist actually shows you how much air you've got left, and also shows you whether or not you're visible, which is quite a nice little feature. Definitely approve of that. God, getting this guy to flip over without this guy coming in is going to be very, very difficult. Doing damage to these fellows is not really an option if you're just going to keep shooting them. It takes way too much ammunition to do that. Alright. Okay. Cool. Looks good. Go away! There's probably something delicious here, and I want to get it, but these guys are being dicks right now. Come on. There you go. You can sit down. Have a little rest. Have a little rest. Okay, let's head in here. Not hear any Geiger counter, so that's pretty good. Now, you'll notice this game is very, very claustrophobic. There's a lot of stuff in tunnels. It's Metro. It's to be expected. Larger open areas, they do exist, but they're mostly either outside or in sort of larger industrial parts of the populated areas of the Metro. You will actually see stuff there. But a lot of this stuff is very much tunnel fighting. And it's super atmospheric. The actual lighting effects and stuff like the smoke and the use of physics, it's incredible. And even the texture quality, in the vast majority of instances, is some of the best texture quality I've seen in a PC game. There are some areas that look a bit gnarly. There's no question about that. But most of the time, the texture work is absolutely phenomenal. The game is just unbelievably gorgeous. And it really adds to the atmosphere of it. There's no real doubt about that. You know, if you want a game to really say, hey, this is what a gaming PC can do, Metro is a good example. Metro 2033 was a good example to begin with. This is a better example because they've really gone all the way up to 11 with it. Go on, flip over. There we go. Shot to the belly, that'll take him out. There better be something really good at the end of this, I tell you. Incidentally, pressing G allows you to wipe your vision there. Once again, a nice little piece of, some would say gimmicky mechanics, but in my opinion, very, very immersive indeed. They really do pay a lot of attention to the detail when it comes to that kind of stuff, I've got to say. Unfortunately, there are some things which really do sort of wreck the immersion value, and the scripted element that I was talking about there, the very linear aspect of the game, is one of those things. Being stuck behind this guy over and over again, knowing that, oh, this is so gamey, it's deliberately trying to restrict me from going to certain places and slowing me down on purpose, even though there's no real reason to. Like, there's maybe a railing that's 2 foot high that you could very easily jump over, but it's actually an invisible wall that can only be bypassed once a certain thing is triggered. That's the kind of thing that breaks that immersion. Also, the voice acting. You haven't really heard a lot of it yet because I'm not really interacting with people, which is probably for the best, because otherwise it would be spoiler city population me, which wouldn't be so good. But unfortunately, the English voice acting is not that good. To the point where I would even recommend from the start just playing it in Russian. And the documentation that I got from the publisher said don't do that on your first playthrough because you'll miss out on a lot of stuff. But honestly, I think that it's worth missing out on a lot of stuff for the immersion factor. I really, really do. I like some of the voice acting is cringeworthily bad. And that's kind of to be expected when you have what appear to be Russian and Ukrainian voice actors also trying to voice act in English. Either that or English voice actors putting on a Russian or Ukrainian accent. It doesn't work so well. It really, really doesn't. Alright, let's power up my flashlight just a little bit more. It's attached to your head, so you don't need to worry about getting that out. It's not Doom 3. Don't worry. You're gonna go away. You're gonna just... And then I'll probably just stab you. There you go. That works too. Now, the bit that I'm showing you is kind of unfortunate because the game actually does have a pretty good stealth element. As I said earlier, the watch, that little blue indicator, says that I'm currently visible. If it goes black, that means that I'm not visible. So, in most circumstances, things should work out absolutely fine. Ooh, my god, that's cool. Look at that. Look at that flare. That's absolutely fantastic. The lighting in this game is just incredible. It's really, really helpful. I really feel like I'm a part of this world in some respect. And that's simply because of the amount of detail they put into it. And, of course, it's graphical fidelity. As I said, though, you know, there are parts where texture quality is a little bit weaker, but it's on items that really should look gnarly anyway. Like, even the texture quality here is actually pretty good. Surprisingly good. There's a lot of detail here. A lot of other games wouldn't do that. Even this, like, at close range, it's really hard to complain about the level of detail. And again, it's not supposed to look good. It's the Metro. Everything is decaying. And the game really conveys that very, very well. Alright. Let's carry on. Now, one of the big complaints about the initial Metro 2033 was that game in particular was just not particularly good when it came to its gunplay. It was a linear FPS, and yeah, its gunplay sucked. Yeah, and I say that because it was really weak source. Like, the actual noise of the guns, the sound, was pretty weak. The overall feel, the kick of them, and just the animation quality on the actual reload and things like that, all not very good. However, they've really stepped it up a notch for this one. It feels great. All of the guns that I have feel awesome. Even the weak-ass little SMG that you get feels damn kick-ass. It really does. The gunplay in this game is really good. The AI is pretty good as well. And you often end up in a situation where, like, the enemies don't automatically know where you are and will react in a fairly logical fashion instead of a gamey fashion. That does not sound good at all. That sounds really, really bad. I'm just gonna go check out that corpse over there. Obviously, if you can take people down in stealth, you can either knock them out or kill them. Doesn't really seem to have too much of an effect. I don't think the game actually has a morality system at all, as far as I'm aware at any rate. There's like a couple of decisions I've been able to make, but I don't know if that actually affects a damn thing. Actually gonna just progress here on foot because I'm interested to see what's... Oh, Christ! It's not much of a horror game, but it'll give you a scare every once in a while, I can tell you that for a fact. It can be really tense at times. You can't really relax in this game, even in the populated areas. You don't get attacked there, but it feels like everyone's just out to get you and just wants your stuff. Nice. So that would... This is probably one of the most open areas I've actually been in, aside from the outside areas, where you're very limited, because obviously you have limited filters for your gas masks, so you can't actually stay out there all that long, but this is actually rewarding exploration, and this is where the game really comes into its own. And this is why it really hurts me that there wasn't more of this in the first 4 hours. There was so much of it where you were just on rails, basically. Not in the literal sense, like you're seeing here, but very much in the sense of, this is the only way you can go. Maybe there's an alcove every now and again that will actually have some items in it, but honestly... That's it. You are stuck with your companion, or you're stuck going in this direction, and so on and so forth. I wanted to run that guy down, but I guess I don't really have the choice of doing that. Well, looks like this is going to be end of the line for me then. So, let's make a move, shall we? See if there's anything worthwhile in this corpse. Not so much. There might be something at the end here. I better keep an eye out. He might try and flank me. That is possibly one of the best use of lighting I've ever seen in a video game. My god, that is gorgeous. It even reflects through the water on my face. Jeez. Oh, my gas mask's on. Whoops. Should probably take that off. I've been burning those filters really badly. That's pretty stupid of me. Those are very important resources. I wonder why there's water on my face. It was all on my gas mask. Am I outside? Is this bad? Oh, this counts. I'm outside. I need my gas mask on. I was gonna say, I'm having trouble breathing. I thought that was just an atmospheric little sound detail, but no, I'm actually dying. It's better be careful then. All right, my gas mask is on, so hopefully I have enough filters. I burned through way more than I should. Thankfully, there's another one here. Oh, I've got 20 minutes worth of filters. I'll be absolutely fine. Shouldn't be a problem. You rarely have to stay outside for more than 10 minutes. But yeah, this is... Oh, go away. Thank you very much. There we go. Shotguns are really powerful in this game as well, especially against these guys. You can do a lot with them. And they have a tendency of blowing your enemy away in a very entertaining fashion. These guys are pretty smart as well. They'll dodge out of the way of your melee attacks and things like that. Obviously, this is kind of close range, so it's a little bit difficult. There we go. Try and wipe some of this blood off my gas mask and use a med kit. I don't think this game has regenerating health. It just never tells you what your health is, because that's, again, part of its whole immersion thing. You don't have a health bar, but I think you do. Like, you need to use medkits if you take too much damage. I think it might be partially regenerating, but since the game never actually tells you that, because, again, immersion, it's hard to say. It really is. I don't want to spend too long out here, because it is outside. It's pretty dangerous, but I would also like to try and find loot, and outside is often one of the best places to get it, because... well, no one ventures out here, so you'll often find stuff like, here's some bullets, some ammunition, currently on 21 minutes worth of air filters, so everything should be pretty cool there. Let's check around here. And this is where the game is at its strongest, in my honest opinion. Outside of the scripted areas. There's the other areas that I would say are really, really good and are genuinely satisfying, especially from someone that really loves games like Deus Ex, where it gives you the stealth or the aggressive option, is any of the larger industrial areas where you're fighting a lot of humans, because you have option to either do stealth takedowns and slowly bring people down, avoid them entirely. Every one of those areas is designed so that you can actually just avoid everybody. You can just play super smart, and you can use ducts, and you can use railings and things on the ceiling just to get past people, or you can go into a full-on firefight. Even if you get into a full-on firefight, as long as you stop them from setting off the alarm, it's actually a pretty legitimate way of doing things. I want to try this gun out. I'm really curious. I think this is... oh, actually, is that a shotgun? Yeah, I actually want to show you this because... I'll probably go back to my double barrel after this, but I want to show you this because of the way that I was talking about the ammo earlier. You see that? Each of those shells is a round, yeah? It is a legit round, and as you use them, they aren't on the gun model anymore. And then you'll reload each one individually. Very makeshift, very cool. I love the idea of counting ammunition like that. That is such an awesome idea. I like my double-barreled shotty just a little bit better, though, so I'm going to stick with that. The guns themselves have attachments as well, and you can either find guns with different attachments in the world, and you can pretty much keep them for as long as you want, or alternatively, you can trade for them, and you can just trade military-grade bullets. So that works pretty well, too. I need to know where I'm going here. Can I get through here? It's locked. Now, last time I saw one of these, I couldn't actually break it, so... yeah, that's not going to break. Huh. I've got to be honest, I'm a little bit lost. The game doesn't have a map. It does have a compass, but the compass is not really all that helpful. It sort of helps you to navigate, but not by much. Can't even get over here, so it's clearly not through that door either. Let's just backtrack. This... Yeah, there's no ladder here. There's no way onto the surface from this particular position, so I'm not going to be getting all that far. What you might hear in the background as well, some fairly heavy breathing. As the filters get dirtier and start getting used up, the game actually responds to that by giving you that heavier breathing sound, which is pretty awesome. I don't want to burn through this filter and put a new one in yet, though. Alright. Okay, let's swap the filter out. There we go. So I should be fine for the time being. But I ended up using another filter. All filters last for about 5 minutes. Maybe that was just an exploration area, but no, I mean, it can't be. I can't go any further than that. There's no way I can't push this out of the way, so... I don't think there's even... Is there a way... Oh, is there a way through here? No. No, there isn't. Ha! I'm annoyingly lost now. That actually kind of sucks. That's really unfortunate. Alright, we'll try going through that way once again. Unless I can push it. I don't think this thing's got the power to do that, but I'm gonna test it just in case. Maybe I mean, I could backtrack. I should always remember, of course, that this thing could go backwards as well. I may have taken the wrong turn. Oh, I can push it. Alright. I thought I was overthinking it, but I was actually right. You can push this bloody thing. Alright, there we go. Okay, so that was just a side area. Oh, they're coming behind me, aren't they? Alright. Do the best I can to take them out before they get anywhere near me. This is gonna get ugly. I tend to keep my assault rifle for humans because shotguns weren't much better there, but at that range I just had to open up as best I could. Cool, so we can push this out of the way. And they're above me as well. Little bastards. This might actually be a good time to use my revolver. It's really powerful, and I can aim pretty well with it because I put a stock on the damn thing, so it actually turned it into a makeshift rifle, which is in itself pretty cool. Get out! This is a cool sequence, actually. I really, really like this. They're coming from the walls! They're coming from the walls! Alright, time to get out. There we go. I want to go and explore this area here. It's actually pretty cool that this is the part that I got to show you because there's no story spoilers here and I can show you some pretty cool combat and more exploration the game has. Like, please don't get me wrong, this is actually not representative of the entire game. The first 4 hours of this game are super linear and may very well be an... Okay, there's some creepy crap going on around here. Really creepy stuff. Alright. I say there is some horror in the game, but not much. What the... Oh, for crying out loud. Don't start with this. No, 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 no. Ghosts, psychic emanations. I don't know what's going on, but I don't like it. Do I want this gun? Is it any good? Seems like a battle rifle of some sort. Nah, I think I'll stick with what I've got. There we go. Alright, so the psychic nonsense has stopped, so that's always good. Can I take my gas mask off here? Might be safe. We'll see. Possibly not. I think this counts as indoors, but it's hard to say. Okay. Did I even take it off there? No, I didn't. There we go. I just wiped it. God. Yeah, I can't breathe here. There we go. This is bad news. But yeah, as I said, game's really, really linear. Really linear. And it's a little bit upsetting that they didn't decide to go more down the Bioshock route, I think, because I think this game, you know, I'm going to say something that some people might say, oh, you're just saying edgy things to be controversial. No, you know my opinion on Bioshock Infinite, and I told you it's one of the best stories in gaming ever seen, and not a particularly good video game. It's not that it's not a good video game, no, it is. It's not a good video game, but it's not a bad one either. It's an average game with an amazing second-to-none story, yeah? And a world that is really well realized, if somewhat empty and false. Metro is a world that's really well realized, but it also happens to have a really good game attached to it as well. And I think if this game had more of this cool exploration stuff, and I love the supernatural elements as well, that's really cool. Obviously, that's something that Bioshock had as well. I would say that this is, in reality, a more immersive and more enjoyable game than Bioshock Infinite is. I would say that without a single doubt in my mind. I would say that this game is just flat out better. Why? It's got better gunplay. It's got better level design. And you might say, what? Why is Bioshock's level design bad? Well, the problem is that it squandered a lot of it. Yeah? It had so much potential. Like, the original Bioshock had massive potential in terms of this kind of stuff that it could show you. And it did. It realized most of that potential. All those different areas were so awesome. And in Bioshock Infinite, it never really felt like it realized all of that. Metro, I think, because it's got a bit more limited scope in the sense that it's tunnels and it's outside and it's these populated areas. It's got a very specific theme to it. I think it gets an easier time of it as a direct result. And more to the point, it's just a more fun game. Like, you can argue about aesthetics, and Metro is a better looking game. Like, from a technological perspective, I would easily say that Metro is technologically superior. The engine they're using here is not Unreal 3. They are really pushing lighting and physics and texture quality and DirectX 11 effects to the next level with a properly optimized PC game, which I might add is what Bioshock Infinite most assuredly was not. Yeah. It was a great looking game and it definitely looked best on PC, but it doesn't look as good as this. And this is like a showpiece for PC gaming. Bioshock Infinite, no, it wasn't. A lot of people get taken aback and confused because the game's colorful. Yeah, Bioshock Infinite is colorful. Yeah, and I have a lot of good things to say about the game as well as a lot of bad things to say. But again, I think that I genuinely feel that Metro is a better game, but it could have been, like, flat out in every possible respect better if, only if, they had actually just gone all out and given you more areas to explore. I want to explore more of the Metro, and I want to do it on my own volition and not when the story tells me to. At least to some degree. You know, do it the Bioshock way. Give me a big open area to explore and then say, right, you need to go on the next area now. That's the best way to do it. I don't need it to be an open world game. I've got Stalker for that. And Stalker does it really, really well. I don't need that. But I do want more than I've currently got. I want more flexibility. I think that it would really help the game. And I think that if they make another one, if they make that a more open world and just give you more stuff to explore, it could very well be one of the best FPS ever made. It could. I mean that. I really mean it. Well, did I break the whole thing? Well, there is a switch point there. I don't think I can smash my way through there. Let's try and smashing into it again. This might be the end of the line. Alright. Well, let's get out here. My impression of Metro up to this point has, aside from the linearity and some minor things, like obviously FOV, which for a lot of people isn't minor. For me, it's not minor either, but like, this game is borderline in the sense that I can kind of handle it. I think, honestly, Metro is easily one of the best games I've played this year so far. And that, yeah, I think it is a Switch. Alright. That is not all that difficult thing to say because, quite frankly, there haven't been that many great games this year so far. But you've got to just give it credit where it's due. When it comes to realizing a world and also making a very competent FPS with a fun stealth aspect and a cool world that really gives you an awesome immersive experience. Not a lot matches it this year. It really doesn't. This game is phenomenally good for what it is, but there's always hopes, I think, that the game would be more than what it is. Yeah. And every time I play a game like this and I'm just wowed by parts of it, oh, roller coaster, sweet. This is gonna get really ugly, isn't it? Oh god. Oh god. This was a terrible idea. Ah. Every time you play a game like this and you're wowed by it, you really get this idea that if only they'd done X, Y, and Z with it. If only they'd done that. It would be like Game of the Year, right? It would be like Game of the Year. Oh man, I cracked my gas mask. How unfortunate. That'll actually stay there, by the way, until I find a new gas mask. Also a very cool element. And it's just so unfortunate when it doesn't quite realize that. I think Dishonored was kind of like that as well. I wonder if I can still use it. No. No. No, I can use it. There we go. We can still ride in the bloody thing. No, can't start the engine. No, can start the engine. Cool, we can still ride in it. Nice. I would have felt bad if I'd broken this thing. Alright, I think I can take the... Yeah, I can take the gas mask off. There we go. Don't need that. Everything's cool. Uh-oh. There's radiation around the area here. But for what it is, if you take it for what it is, which is a linear FPS in a cool world with great gunplay and a cool story. I've got to say, like, it does have a cool story. Even though the voice acting's lame, as I've explained before, the story itself is really cool. There's a lot of political friction going on in the Metro. There's a lot of factions vying for supremacy. And it's not clear who the good and bad guys are. Like, it's very grey. And I like that a lot. It does a good job of telling a story in a fairly mature manner. There's some pretty shocking things in it, which is good. I think if you're going to make a game like this, you can't really sugarcoat anything. Life in the Metro is tough. Really, really tough.
Who goes there?
Stand still or we shoot. We're armed.
We are armed. Swear by Lenin's name.
He doesn't look like a GB. I don't recognize the uniform.
Could he be one of ours? Look at all his weapons.
Don't shoot. We are civilians. There are women and children here. Leave and let leave, okay?
We're refugees from the Red Line. I'm in charge here, basically. Now there's nobody under my command. All the battle-worthy men went with the other caravan. Half a click ahead. I thought they'd protect us. But they were attacked. We heard the shooting. It's subsided. But it doesn't look like our people survived. So we can't go any further. And if we go back, it's the firing spot for us. You look like you've seen your share of fights. Can you help us? It's not for me, but I pity the children.
So what do we do now? How do we live without them?
They might still be alive. Don't bury them yet.
But the shooting was so loud. And now there's nothing.
There you go, there's a bit of an impression of the voice acting there. As I say, it's pretty weak source. I would strongly recommend putting it on Russian, because then you won't have this problem. Much more atmospheric. Okay, so I can show you a little bit of customization before I go here, because this guy's actually a vendor, so we could customize this, and it's fairly limited, but it's pretty cool nonetheless. I can do extended barrel, and I can put a silencer on this thing. I actually have an extended barrel, because I like to use it as more of a powerful rifle than anything else. Sights are available. 2x sight, I might actually put that on there because I don't have a sight on this thing yet. So a 2x sight would be nice. That would actually give me a... It's basically you're turning a revolver, a 6-shooter, into a sniper rifle. You can do that in this game because there's a lot of this idea that every gun has to be in some way customizable. And they've got to make use of old tech and adapt it. And there's a lot of makeshift stuff going on here. This, for instance, is kind of makeshift, honestly, because, you know, it doesn't even have a magazine. You just kind of attach the clips to it. That is sort of basic pistol there. And then we can have a look at that. Yeah, it's pretty sweet, isn't it? There's some interesting choices here, I think. I like it a lot. Alright, let's customize... Let's have a look at the optics on this. I don't actually have optics on this gun, so... There's an IR sight, reflex sight, 2x. Probably go with reflex on this one, I think. The IR is quite nice, but it's also very limited in sort of brighter areas, so I'll go with the reflex. And I think on that, it's probably just, yeah, it's probably just silencer for that. So customizability is at times pretty limited, which is unfortunate. I think maybe they could have gone with more of it, but it's good for what it is. You can do quite a lot with it, so that's always... good to see. I should probably... Yeah, you can silence the shotgun. Silencers in this game as well don't fully silence the weapon, which is in itself very cool. Using a silencer will help you pick people off without alerting more, but it won't be the be-all, end-all. You've got to be quite careful. But I'm thinking that, yeah, we might do that. This is very much a... Can I actually silence a double-barreled shotgun? I think I can, you know. I think I just silenced the double-barreled shotgun. That's a new one, isn't it? That is a new one. Sweet. Okay. Yeah. So I think we can come to a conclusion now. I think we've probably played enough of it, shown you exactly what's going on with it. I really like Last Light. I really do. I think it is absolutely fantastic. I think in terms of immersion, it is second to none, and it's got great gunplay going on. Easily one of my favorite shooters, if not... Actually, no. It is my favorite shooter this year so far. Really great. And I am so happy that the game turned out to be good. But I'm still slightly disappointed that the game couldn't have been more than what it is. More open world stuff, more exploration, more trading, more customization, more character interaction would have helped the game immensely. As it stands though, if you're looking for a linear shooter, you don't mind the fairly narrow FOV, and of course you have a computer that can really crank it up to maximum, which is what this game truly deserves, I have no hesitation recommending Metro Last Light. I think it's really good. I genuinely do. Alright folks, there you go. A little bit of a look at Metro Last Light. Pretty much spoiler free. It's kind of a shame that I couldn't show you more, because I would really have loved to show you some of the more populated areas, but I can't really do that without kind of spoiling the game, and I think that that would be a disservice to it. It's currently available, at least it will be available on Tuesday, so it'll be a day after this video actually comes out, and it's a full price release, so you'll be able to get it on 360, PlayStation 3, or PC. Needless to say, it's going to look best on PC. I mean, I don't think anyone could really doubt that, and if they do, they're very, very, very silly, honestly. Before I go, I really want to try out this silenced shotgun. I want to see just how effective this thing actually is. I'm really interested to know if it's any good. Alright. Let's keep going. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. It would actually be kind of hilarious if this worked. Yep, that was not silenced enough, but it didn't alert him immediately, so it took a little bit more time for it to figure out what actually happened, but there you go. Well, so much for her. She's a little bit dead. That's grim, man. That's really, really grim. But it is a mature rated game. Anyway, okay. Yeah, time to wrap it up. As I said, I've overdone it now. I'm just kind of rambling, but yeah, it's good. It's really, really good. And I would encourage you to play it, certainly. As I said, though, I definitely don't like the business practice with Ranger mode. So you need to make a decision there as to whether or not you think that's okay. Some people are not going to think it's okay, and it's just a shame. But at the end of the day, it's a self-inflicted shame. I don't feel sorry for the dev or the publisher in that regard. They did it. So there you go. Okay, folks, Metro Last Light. Sit down. Currently available for pre-order and available tomorrow on 360, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. My name has been TotalBiscuit. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.